next Sunday at MetLife Stadium. Plus, yes, you guessed it, a free parking pass. Plus, sign up right now for your chance to win. Good luck. First of all, tickets to a game and a free parking pass. Parking pass, I think, is the underrated element.
Here's what I need. They need to start winning a few games here so that people will want to come.
There you go. There you go. And for those of you at home who have been watching, we are welcoming in two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks, fresh out of the radio booth, coming to join us here for Giants Postgame Live. Banks, I want to know, first of all, you were up there calling the game. What was the biggest thing that stood out to you as the theme of this loss for the Giants?
Well, we knew going in that they would be punching above their weight class, so they would have to do a lot of things well against a team that's as good as the Rams, but not getting 6 points in the red zone, right? And then just shooting yourself in the foot. Like, you can talk about turnovers, but everything starts with the offensive line, and they've been getting along pretty well the last 2 or 3 weeks with just patchwork offensive line, and they had leaks in it. And we were talking off air, I think they need Flex Seal for this one because you can't – this defensive front for the Rams were so active. They exploited every single weakness on every single player by one guy, number 99.
Yeah.
You can put him anywhere you want it, and he can show you where the weaknesses were.
Yeah, getting 4 sacks on Daniel Jones after 2 weeks in a row where the Giants offensive line did not allow a single sack on the quarterback. But, you know, Joe Judge has been adamant about, hey, you know what, we're going to keep it moving. We're going to keep a rotation. And it has worked in some regards, but, you know, with injuries coming into play as well, how do they kind of fix that rhythm there?
Well, I think the injuries are really what's making that rotation really work. Putting it in motion for it to work. It's not really working. But, you know, the offensive lines that I've been around, the ones that are really successful, it's not because they have great pieces individually. It's how they work well together.
Sure.
And this offensive line does not have that cohesiveness. They don't have that trust in each other because offensive line, more so than anything else, is a position of trust. Trusting that if I get this gap and I see a guy go in the other gap, somebody's going to get that guy.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, then you're looking and trying to do both things, you miss them both.
Well, and then the rotation has been necessitated, like you said, by injury. So, you know, and then you're doing it within the course of a game, too.
Yes.
So it makes it very difficult. You know, against teams in their weight class, they can get away with it, right? Yeah. Like, you got Chase Young, and then you got Aaron Donald. And that's no disrespect to Chase Young.
Right.
But, like, this guy goes all across your offensive line, and he can wreak havoc. So, and Leonard Floyd in this group. So, look, I'm glad, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm glad he kept the offense in at the end of the game because they had some things to work out. Like, guys have been missing. You know, Shepard was his first game back. You got to get in a rhythm, as you say, as an offensive player.
I don't think you let people off the hook. Like if the game is going bad and your side of the ball hasn't performed well, you don't get to sit on the sideline and look at things happen.
Well, yeah, and
you go out there and keep doing it.
Yeah, and even though the Rams took their guys out, that has no impact on what you need to get going because they needed to taste the end zone. So they needed to do that. They needed to get in there and work, like I said with comedians, when they just go to work some things out, they needed to work some things out, you know?
Hey, Eli Penny worked it out. He got into the end zone, his first touchdown since 2017. But a word that you mentioned, Amani, was trust. You know, being able to trust, and not just on the offensive line, but I think as a team in general, offense, defense. And, you know, you look at the way the Rams play, coming in here with such a winning record, it seems like they are trusting each other. They are playing so free. And with the Giants having so many players coming in and out, is there a level, how do you build that trust, especially when you're struggling like this?
Trust, number one, comes, in my opinion, through execution. Because if you're not tackling well, then you're not trusting the guy next to you, and then you have a lapse in what your responsibilities are, and you start to freelance. Once everybody starts to execute their job, then I can trust that he's going to do it. Just what you were saying about the offensive line. They can say, okay, if he gets beat, I trust that he's got my inside or I got his outside. Right now, they just they need to just execute so that they can build that amongst themselves.
Right.
Yeah, I think that happens through just repetition, just like Carl's saying. They need to be out there playing it for as long as they can, going through all these repetitions, and this is preparing for next week. This team constantly has to get better. Yeah. Today wasn't a good showing, but that doesn't mean that this is going to be a bad showing next week.
Absolutely. And one of the things Tom Coughlin mentioned at halftime when the Giants were celebrating the 10-year anniversary was they had their rough patches too, but that team stuck together, and this Giants team will have to do just that. All right, we got a lot more coming up on the show. Stay with us here as Giants Postgame Live continues after this short break. We'll be right back.
At Yield Street, investment opportunities that have traditionally been reserved for only the ultra-wealthy are now available to you. With a single investment, the Yield Street Prism Fund gives you access to a portfolio of alternative asset classes with expected 8% distributions paid quarterly. The Yield Street Prism Fund can help you realize your financial goals. Start as low as $1K and take your portfolio to the next level.
In America, the future belongs to everyone. So we built the truck of the future for everyone. Ford F-150 with available Pro Power onboard that acts like a mobile generator and an available tailgate work surface. It's built to get the job done because the truck of the future isn't built for a few. It's built for America. Ford F-150. Drive one today. Right now, get the 2021 Ford F-150 with 0% financing for 72 months. View more offers at buyfordnow.com.
All right, it all comes down to this. The Giants score, and our guy brings home the bacon.
But isn't he an Eagles fan?
He's from New Jersey, but his mom grew up in Philadelphia, so it could go either way.
It's a win-win. He wins or his team gets help in the standings.
I'm flying with the birds for life, I think. Never had a doubt.
Download the DraftKings app and feel the NFL action like never before.
Are you ready for flu season? With kids back in school and many people returning to work, we need to prepare for both flu and COVID this fall and winter. Protect yourself, your family, and your community by getting both vaccines. Everyone should get a flu shot. And people 12 and older should get a COVID vaccine too. Talk to your healthcare provider about getting both flu and COVID-19 vaccines. Learn more at health.ny.gov/flu.
When you're hungry, you're not going to let 5,000 feet of mountain get in your way. And if it tries, that's what our lineup of exceptionally capable all-wheel drive SUVs is for. After all, we take this pretty seriously. The SUVs and the dinner.
It's the wrong time to catch the flu, so it's the right time for a flu shot. Flu shots are safe, easy, and available all over the city. Come on, New York, let's roll up our sleeves again. It's time to get a flu shot. To find out where you can get a flu shot, visit nyc.gov/flu or call 311.
Derek Jeter and Larry Walker have been voted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. To honor these all-time greats, BigTimeBats.com is releasing these official Louisville Slugger Hall of Fame bats. These full-size maple bats will be laser engraved with the team logos, Hall of Fame logos, and each player's career stats and highlights. Each bat is of a strict limited edition, so go to BigTimeBats.com to order your Derek Jeter or Larry Walker Hall of Fame bat now.
Time now for the Investors Bank scoring drive of the game. Today's scoring drive of the game brought to you by Investors Bank. Get the official New York Giants checking account only from Investors Bank. For the scoring drive of the game, we take you to the fourth quarter. 12 plays, 53 yards, 3 minutes and 27 seconds comes off the clock, capped by a 4-yard touchdown run by Eli Penny, his first touchdown since 2017. Giants went for 2 on that, got the 2-point conversion as Daniel Jones threw to Kyle Rudolph, and the score after this drive was 38-11. That's a wrap for the Investors Bank scoring drive of the game. Now we send it down to head coach Joe Judge, who's addressing the media.
Obviously, it wasn't good enough today. You got to give credit to the Rams. They did a good job executing, finishing the game. You know, say every week, there's positives to build off of. We'll make sure we go ahead, we magnify those as a team. And obviously, there's a lot of things we've got to fix, and we got to do better as a team to be able to have success. So that being said, I'll open up for questions.
Joe, you mentioned positives you can build on. Were there any that you saw?
Yeah, you know what? I challenge the guys at halftime. I want to see who's going to finish the game. I want to see what kind of fight some of these guys had. So we'll go through the tape, but there were some guys I could see with the eye test right away. There were some guys that fought and finished right there, and that's how we're going to do things around here. So we're going to compete for 60. We got to do some things technically better, fundamentally better calls at times. But I want to see who's going to finish this game, who's going to fight.
Coach, to follow up with that, I know you want to look at the film and everything, and but from your eye test, did you see maybe a few guys that maybe weren't giving that 100% effort in the second half?
Yeah, I'm going to wait till I finish the tape right there to go ahead and give you that answer.
So what was the thought process behind keeping Daniel in?
Because we're going to compete for 60 minutes.
No concern banging up off the line to have him up there in that situation?
I'll watch how the game flow's going right there. We're going to compete for 60 minutes.
Joe, obviously your offense, your line, Daniel were all ineffective in the first half. What went wrong? How disappointing was that? That you guys were non-competitive offensively in the first half.
Well, some things we had to do better, obviously. You know, I like the way we started the game. We were able to play with good tempo, move the ball down, convert some tough third downs. You know, we want to finish in the red zone with touchdowns, not field goals. So we had to do better in that situation right there. In terms of the way we started the game, I was really pleased on both sides of the ball. Some things that hit kind of as the first half went on, we had to correct and fix and get moving forward. So in terms of the specifics on that right there, I'm going to watch the tape before I go ahead and assess everything.
Tony goes out, Andrew Thomas goes out. I said Tony goes out.
Yep.
Andrew Thomas goes out. How much did you think, especially on that side of the ball, you were just outmanned?
I got faith in the guys on our roster. Whoever's at the game, you got to produce. That's it. It's what we practice for all week. You come to the game, you're a professional, you're expected to go out there and produce.
Any updates on Tony or Thomas, the injuries?
I have nothing on Tony or Thomas. CJ, I was told he broke his arm. So I don't know exactly where that's going to put everything timetable-wise, but, you know, he's a tough kid. He does a really good job competing. You know, you hate it for a guy like, you hate it for any guys. You hate it for a guy like CJ, who really has pushed through every situation he's been asked to be in and just keeps finding a way to make himself necessary as a player on a roster.
Joe, you figure out, I know you haven't watched the tape, but what changed after that first offensive series? Because it really, you had the tempo, you seemed to have them on their back foot a bit, and we just didn't see that the rest of the game.
Yeah, obviously there was some execution we got to clean up and some things we got to do better as far as how we're going to compete and play this game. I'm going to wait for the film before I go ahead and start assessing everything right there. But it obviously wasn't good enough.
Did you sense some of the air went out of the team when Kadarius went down?
No, I thought we were able to finish that drive right there as far as moving. I don't think anyone wants to see somebody get hurt. Everyone likes the way this guy works and pushes through and competes. He's obviously a productive player for us. He's a young guy. He's got a long way to go, but he's been a very productive player and competitive player for us. You know, in terms of that kind of air going out, like that's not our job. That's not our job. Our job is not to get discouraged or deflated based on a player going out. Like there's times you don't want your teammates or players to be injured. That's every time, right? You don't want to see someone get hurt. But in terms of like something happening and just going ahead and just the air going out of the room, no, we can't be that way. We can't be that way. I mean, look, we got to have faith in all the guys in that locker room. We all work very, very hard, right? So you got to have faith in the guy next to you to come in and do his job.
How much would that ankle bother him just to play, and then did he re-aggravate the same injury he had?
I don't know the second answer right there, and I'm going to let him speak for himself on that right there. But obviously he was, clear to go out there. He was very productive, early in the game, those first few plays.
You wore road uniforms to recognize the Super Bowl team. What are your thoughts on their halftime ceremony and just the performance on this kind of day?
Well, I'll just keep those two things isolated right there. Obviously, there's a lot of respect for the accomplishments of that team right there. They earned the right to have that. Going out there and hearing Coach Coughlin talk to the crowd, obviously, it's someone who's earned all the time he wants. Did a lot of significant things for this club, for this city. We have a tremendous amount of respect for the history of this organization, the men who came before us. And look, obviously, there's a responsibility to uphold the tradition of how we want to play. Didn't do that well enough today.
Joe, when you put pressure on them, it seemed to shut down their passing game. When the pressure went away, those guys were making plays. I mean, how did they adjust?
How did they adjust? Well, I think we got to do a better job stopping the run. That kind of helps alleviate pressure right there for any offense. But I like the way our defense was able to get after them early on and put pressure on Stafford. That helped us be in some situations, force some errant balls, get some sacks, get off the field, things of that nature right there. You got to make sure you stop the run more effectively to keep in passing situations, be able to get yourself into certain calls.
What was essentially, obviously without being specific, the message to the guys when you're in there? What's the theme of what you had to say to them after?
You talking about right here, right now, leaving? Yeah, we're coming back. We're going to work. We got things to improve on. So we come back on Wednesday. There's time to get going to work. Get your bodies right, get your minds right. We're coming around. We want to lick our wounds around here. There's a lot of ball left to be played. Our goal every week is go 1-0. Our goal is to get better every week as a team as the season progresses. That goal doesn't change. You talk about the big picture? Yeah, the big picture is the little picture. It's next week. The big picture is how we handle next week, how we practice, how we improve, how we prepare, and how we come out and we execute. So that's our focus has to be as immediate 7 days from now. We got 7 days to get ready for another good opponent coming in here, and that's what our focus has to be.
Joe, do you feel like, obviously the message has been process over results?
Yep.
Do you feel at all that message is not getting through to the guys from what you're seeing, maybe not during practice, but on game day?
No, I don't see anybody trying to find a way to push. No, I don't see anything in that, the way the guys are coming and approaching it and working it, not having the results. There's things you have to do along the way and things you have to do in the execution, and that's coaches through players on game day to make sure you have better results.
Joe, do you expect that there could be changes based on the challenge that you gave them at halftime and whether guys did or did not respond to that?
Well, we make adjustments every week, okay? And it always comes down to, one, how we call the game as coaches, of how we're going to adjust internally, all right? The responsibilities we give internally. Player-wise, it's based on production and performance. And that's it. You got to look at how guys played, make sure you put the best 11 on the field in every situation to have success.
Daniel, good more.
Okay.
Daniel, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Joe, when a team falls to 1-5, though, do you have to find different ways to motivate them, to capture their attention, to implore them to improve, even in, what often at 1-5 becomes a mostly lost season for a lot of teams?
There's a lot of ball left to be played. We're in week 6. So to turn around and start tapping out now, I don't know what kind of mentality other people have. I don't quit things. These players aren't going to quit things. We're not going to do that. So anyone who's got that mentality of, woe is me, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think you were going to go out there, roll the ball out, and just go ahead and walk through every opponent? It's the National Football League. Teams are good. You've got to play better than them in that 60 minutes every Sunday to have success. So in terms of the motivation aspect, our motivation is to improve and perform for the man next to us. I don't see any dip in how our guys prepare. They come to work, I'll tell you all the time, they're good at meetings, they're good at practice, they compete hard. You guys have to leave after individuals on, Wednesdays and Thursdays, okay? At some point, if, we stayed out there the entire time, you'd see a group of guys go out there and they empty the tank, and they work hard, and they prepare well. We've got to have better results on Sundays. That's a mix of factors. We'll go through that internally and make sure we're doing things, make necessary adjustments to have those. In terms of the motivation of the team, I'm just telling you this right now. We don't have a room full of guys right now looking around and wondering. We don't have a room full of guys who are waiting for next year. We don't have a room full of guys who are waiting for someone to show up and save us. Okay, the only one who can make an impact to change anything that we're doing are all the men in that room. The coaches, the players, that's it. Okay? So we're in that submarine right now. All right? Something happens wrong in that submarine, it's got to be someone on that ship to step up and save that thing, right? You spring a leak, someone's got to plug that thing for you. No one's coming. No one can get there in time to help you if you don't fix it yourselves. So we rely on ourselves. And that's how we come back on Wednesday and we prepare.
As far as Daniel had some of the problems that, were hurting him last year with the fumbles and the interceptions. He went back to that. He seemed to have improved early, and he went back to that.
Yeah, Daniel's improved a lot as a player. I'm not going to go ahead and start to magnify that. Obviously, we don't have turnovers in the game. There's a lot of things that happen. We'll look ahead specifically on what happened. But Daniel's improved as a player. Daniel's a guy that we're going to have success with. He's a tough dude. He's a good competitor. He's a leader on this team. Does everything we ask him to do. Does everything the team needs to see a guy in a leadership standpoint do and perform. So we're going to have success with Daniel. There are obviously things we have to clean up from today. Specifically, you're asking about the interceptions. And look, these are things we have to talk and address in terms of, how we execute on plays. That's not always tied into just one person. There's things that different people have to do on those plays to make sure you have a chance to have success. So, obviously the statistic of what the turnovers were, that is what they are. However, I'm not going to try to, go back and talk about the past with anything that's happened with any player. I'm focused on what they're doing now and going forward towards the future. This is a guy that's made a tremendous amount of improvement for us, and obviously he's going to help us have success going forward in the future.
Andrew Thomas, new injury, it was an ankle and he had a foot coming in. Or was
Jordan,
it
I don't have any true information on Andrew. I haven't seen Andrew yet. When you're on the sideline, they kind of come up to you and they just kind of say 78's out. They give you kind of a brief, whatever it is. At that point, you're focusing on a lot of other things. You know, I knew CJ's arm was broken because I went out in the field, and when I got over there, they told me, say, Joe, this is what it is.
A lot of ball left to be played. That sound from head coach Joe Judge was brought to you by Ford. And guys, one of the things that stood out to me, you know, when the Rams pulled Stafford and put John Wolford in, I think a lot of conversation too, a lot of people were wondering, why are the Giants leaving their starters in when this game is so out of control? But as Joe Judge said, you know, I wanted to see what kind of fight these guys had. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the show, you know, getting into the end zone, showing what they can do to finish. But what kind of fight did this team show you they have? Because this has proven to be a resilient group.
Well, you want to have that messaging coming from your head coach because he's saying we're in it, we're the only ones who are going to fix it. And like Amani said, they didn't earn the right to go off the field. When the other team said we're calling off the dogs, that don't mean you get the luxury to take a deep breath. You got things to work out. So, and he said they're going to continue to work through those things. So I thought it was the right messaging, and I think that's probably the PG version of what he's saying in that locker room. But I think the message is clear. There's ball left, and we're gonna get better at it.
I like the fact that he said that, you know, the only people that can change what shows up on the field are the people in that locker room. None of the media, none of the pundits, nobody else. They know that to get themselves out of this situation of being a team struggling is only going to happen if this team, those group of guys in that locker room come together and start performing better on the field. There's nobody else going to help them. There's no safety net. This is the NFL, just like you said.
And I'll tell you, you know this as well as I do. Your best players have to show up, right? And the role players have to do their job, but your best players have got to lead the way. And today, and I don't know how they're going to grade out, but Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence, from start to finish, you know, they're going to lead by example. They're going to now be the guys they cut the film on and say, you see these two guys? They played every single quarter.
Every single quarter. Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence combined for 2 sacks on Matt Stafford as this Giants defense got it going. After the break, we're going to hear from one of the captains of the Giants defense, Logan Ryan. That and much more coming up on Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. We'll be right back.
You've never seen anything quite like it. We've never created anything quite like it. The all-electric, all-Mercedes EQS.
On this field, you know me by my name and my number. I put in the work, and yeah, I'm proud of my accomplishments. I retired from the game, but not from wanting to achieve more. I'm on my business journey now, and my banking partner is Investors Bank. They give me the tools and the resources to reach my business goals. For what I do now and what I'll do next, I count on Investors Bank.
There was a mess. I wiped up a mess.
Yeah, you did. Where is the box? Never mind, I found it!
Welcome back, football fans. We'll see you in the fridge.
First, it was just like these distant roars in the dark, you know? But then they started getting closer and closer, and that's when I saw it. This was no bear. It was like a bear squatch. What?
Dad, what's a bear squatch?
It's a cross between a bear and a sass. It's made up.
The legendary 2022 Lexus GX with Apple CarPlay support.
He's usually sleeping.
He'll never sleep again.
Lease the 2022 GX 460 for $629 a month for 36 months.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Don't let anyone tell you there are things we cannot change. We've done hard things before. We'll face hard things again, but we're doing it. Thousands of people will live simply because a whole bunch of people in here keep making medicine better. So if anyone ever tells you there's no other way, don't listen. We find a way. Mount Sinai.
Today's game between the Giants and Rams was presented by PNC, the official wealth management partner of the New York Football Giants. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, the official luxury automobile of the New York Football Giants. We now send it down to the podium where Logan Ryan is addressing the media.
That we started the game well. We just didn't execute in the red area. You know, we did not hold them to 3 enough, and started off pretty well. But there's a couple of short fields on defense. You got to go put out the fire. We're out there, and the difference between 7 points and 3 points can keep the score in touch. So really, just some of that execution in the red area obviously has been all year, but especially today.
Logan, why are you still in uniform?
I just wanted to get out here and face it, man. I want to get out here and speak to you. I'm one of the captains. Obviously, I pride myself on setting a tone and pride myself on doing things the right way and practicing the right way and treating people the right way and being a role model, being a leader. And, a few weeks ago, I was one of the last people to talk. And I believe our receiver, Colin, was the first one to talk. And I remember someone said, unbelievable, he's the first person to talk. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to be the first person to talk today. I'm going to come out here, own it, speak to you guys, explain the best what I felt happened. And really, we got a unified locker room regardless of how it may look right now. We got to work on that. But the players want to take ownership, and that's why I'm out here first today.
That sound from Giants defensive back Logan Ryan was brought to you by Ford. Carl, one of the things that stood out, the red area. He pointed to the fact that was a point of emphasis for this defense, but it has been for a while, and it's been something that this group has talked about.
Interesting enough, the Giants were one of 2 teams that limited teams to 3 points in the first quarter, but teams tend to warm up. In the bend but don't break, the reason they have these issues in red area that I see is the chunk plays that leads to get them to the red area. When teams have to methodically go down the field, they seem to play better. So they've got to eliminate the big plays, because once they get down there, all of a sudden, they just don't have the right formula to stop them.
And making that quick adjustment on the fly can be a lot. All right, we got a lot more coming up on the show. After the break, we're going to hear from Giants wide receiver Sterling Shepard. That more coming up as Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, continues after this.
90 years in the game.
And counting. This is our house.
We built this house.
It wasn't easy.
We had to rewrite the playbook.
You gotta have the right plays. That's how you do it.
Who's the MVP?
I am.
John. She is.
Without me, this wouldn't exist.
We gotta bring everybody in.
Because that's how we all win.
In America, the future belongs to everyone, so we built the SUVs of the future for everyone. Ford Escape and Explorer, built with Bliss to help detect vehicles in your blind spot, and with lane keeping system, because the SUVs of the future aren't built for a few. They're built for America. Ford Escape and Explorer. Drive one today. Come into your local Ford stores for special lease and financing options on the well-equipped Ford Explorer. View more at buyfordnow.com.
At Yield Street, investment opportunities that have traditionally been reserved for only the ultra-wealthy are now available to you. With a single investment, the Yield Street Prism Fund gives you access to a portfolio of alternative asset classes. With expected 8% distributions paid quarterly, the Yield Street Prism Fund can help you realize your financial goals. Start as low as $1K and take your portfolio to the next level.
Hey Google.
Volvo has more 2021 IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than any other brand.
Giants fans, we've got another cool giveaway this week in the Giants Postgame Live Watch and Win Sweepstakes. Just scan the QR code on the screen with your smartphone to sign up or go directly to msgnetworks.com. This week's keyword is Big Blue, and if you're lucky, you'll win 2 tickets to see the Giants take on the Carolina Panthers next Sunday right here at MetLife Stadium. Plus, yes, you guessed it, a free parking pass. Sign up now for your chance to win, and good luck. Now, we welcome you back to the program and send it down to the podium as wide receiver Sterling Shepard is addressing the media.
I thought Daniel played well. I mean, I think it's on the surrounding cast. I mean, we have to do a better job to help him out, and I don't think we did that today as a unit. We got to play better.
Just do that interception for a second. Seemed like
you just lost my footing on that. That can't happen, and I put that on me. So. That one's on me, and I mean a couple of other things that happened throughout the game. We could all say we had a my bad play, and that just can't happen, not in this league, or the score would turn out like that.
As a leader on this team, how do you keep that room together? I mean, you're 1-5, obviously, not the way you guys wanted to show out today. How do you keep everybody together and locked in?
Yeah, I mean, it just starts with communicating to the guys that we can't give up on each other. We can't start pointing the finger at each other and saying, it was this guy's fault, that guy's fault, or this thing can really go downhill. I've been on teams where that's happened, and you can really start to see a snowball effect. So we got to keep each other's heads up and keep the energy high throughout the week.
That sound from Sterling Shepard was brought to you by Ford. Shep finished the day with 10 receptions for 76 yards, along with 14 yards. Amani, we saw him making his return after that hamstring injury had him kept out for a bit. But, he mentioned, talking about, he's been on teams where things that losing, that struggle has had a snowball effect. As one of the veteran now leaders in this wide receivers group in this team, how do you keep this team afloat, keep this team focused?
I think you keep focused by leading by example. I mean, you always have to be on your game. I've been on we've all been on bad teams. You've been in the NFL long enough, you're going to be on bad teams. Yeah. And that's where you really find out the character of the different players. Just like Coach Judge was talking about, he wants to see who's going to give up. He wants to see who's going to keep fighting. Obviously, Shepard had struggled a little bit today because coming back from those injuries, it's not just about, being healthy. It's about getting the timing back. That's a common theme throughout this entire show, and he did not look like the Shepard that we ordinarily see.
And this is not a defense that accommodates comebacks. Like you got Jalen Ramsey out there, everything has to be precise, so you don't ease your way into a game like this. And so, I mean, he's going to get better, but that has been what has plagued this group, health. I mean, you look at the room, when they're all healthy, you can say, boy, this could be a fun offense. But they just haven't been together. So I think that's where he says, from a leadership standpoint, we're going to be all right. Yeah. You just have to have everybody together fighting.
It's like my dad says, they're hell when they're well, they're just sick all the time.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Honestly, your dad has some of the best expressions, and I appreciate this. We're going to keep them coming in the program. We got a lot more of those expressions and a lot more coming up for you on the program. After the break, we're going to hear from Big Cat Leonard Williams. That and much more as Giants Postgame Live presented by Mercedes-Benz continues after this short commercial break.
Take a walk on the wild side.
She told me to walk this way. She told me to. Boots are made for walker, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. Walk this way. Walk this way. Like this. Come on,
One thing we know for sure is things are always changing. So there are still reasons you may need COVID-19 testing. And Quest has options for the whole family, available at no cost to you. Simply schedule a test online for a nearby location and get your test results back as soon as the next day. Millions of people like you have trusted Quest for their COVID-19 testing. So schedule your test today at questcovid19.com. That's questcovid19.com.
It all comes down to this.
All right, it all comes down to this. The
Giants score, and our guy brings home the bacon.
But isn't he an Eagles fan?
He's from New Jersey, but his mom grew up in Philadelphia, so it could go either way.
It's a win-win. He wins or his team gets help in the standings.
I'm flying with the birds for life, I think.
Never had a doubt. Download the DraftKings app and feel the NFL action like never before.
DirecTV is bringing you a glorious holiday season with Showtime and Movies Extra Pack.
It will be beautiful.
A time for laughter.
Yes.
Light.
I hope you like it.
And love.
How about finding your perfect guy?
How could I forget that? Not to mention reunions with friends new and old.
How does that sound?
Oh, I'd be delighted. Experience all the wonder of the holidays. Get Showtime free for 3 months with Movies Extra Pack for just $4.99 a month. Only on DirecTV.
All the best in Halloween. Yeah, you got it.
This is gonna be lit.
All the hits.
If you want to get crazy, we can get crazy.
All the chills.
There's something up there.
All the classics.
Red Rock, I'm Chucky.
All the. all the. And DirecTV lets you have it all whenever you want it.
Awesome.
It's good to have you back.
DirecTV. This is how you Halloween.
Yeah, like you said, I think we started fast like we wanted. Defense was getting off the field. We were getting pressure up the middle, making them hold the ball a little bit. You know, I got to watch film to further assess exactly what happened. But, you know, it seemed like he was getting the ball out a little bit faster in the second half. Their tempo started going a little bit quicker as well. And, you know, overall they were just, you know, doing better than our defense. So.
Leonard, it seemed like at one point you were shooing off the boos. Did the boos bother you? Do you feel like they weren't allowed? They shouldn't have been booing you guys?
I mean, they do bother me, honestly. You know, obviously we're in our own home stadium. I don't want to be hearing boos from our own fans. I understand that they have a right to, you know, be upset as well because they're coming to see us put, you know, good football on the field, and you know, we haven't been winning up to date. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't like that.
Oh, you don't.
That sound from Leonard Williams was brought to you by Ford. Leonard Williams finished the day with 3 tackles, 4 assists, 1.5 sacks on a quarterback, Matt Stafford, who had only been sacked 4 times in the first 5 games of the season. His 5th career multi-sack game for Big Cat Leonard Williams. Now we'll send it down to Daniel Jones, who starts it off his post-game media availability, asked about the hit he took last week.
Obviously the play on the goal line, and got the wind knocked out of me, and you know, stumbled there, and you know, had no memory loss, and when I got back to the locker room, passed all the tests. So just went through the week, through the concussion tests, and took it a day at a time, what the trainers were asking me to do, and passed all the tests.
Did the lack of reps this week, because you were going through the protocol, did that impact you today in terms of timing and just trying to get your rhythm?
I don't think so. I think you know, I was just still able to get those reps and practice, and yeah, I don't think it had an effect.
So that scene when you were stumbling was kind of a scary scene to see. You're saying that really wasn't like that serious though?
Yeah, I mean, I went through the protocol. Obviously, I understand the situation, and I, you know, did stumble there, so went through it, and you know, went through the test, passed the test, so.
I'm a little confused. Were you diagnosed with a concussion? You said you passed all the tests. How do you pass all the tests to be diagnosed with a concussion?
I was diagnosed with a concussion because, you know, I stumbled in that moment. That's a symptom of a concussion, but I didn't have a lot of the other symptoms.
Did you feel like you were playing with any reservations, even on run plays like that 4th and 1? Were you nervous at all?
No.
Put a finger on what happened from that first drive today that looked so dynamic and on pace, and you kind of had them on the back foot, and then just the rest of the game, there wasn't that execution.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got behind the sticks in a lot of situations and didn't execute. You know, we had a good plan, and we just didn't execute it. So, yeah, obviously the turnovers were a big deal, and that set us back.
That sound from Giants quarterback Daniel Jones was brought to you by Ford. Amani, obviously he's getting a lot of questions about that concussion that he was diagnosed with last week, cleared protocol this week. You've suffered concussions in football games. How would you describe to those who are maybe less familiar how varying that injury can be?
Well, concussions, there's certain people that don't feel reaction at all. There's certain people that throw up. There's certain people that start crying. Certain people that lose memory. Everybody's different. That's what makes the concussion such a enigma, and that's why everybody's so careful about it, is because there's no real one thing affects everybody in the same way.
Yeah, and from my era of football, thank God for concussion protocols that they have in place now, because you could be out cold on the bench and have smelling salts and come back and say, okay, I'm ready to go again. And if you're ready to go, they have to take your word for it. So I'm glad that they have the independent doctors that now coaches and players can feel assured that, they've done and passed all the different things to return to play.
Absolutely. And, he got back out on the field playing tough. You mentioned the turnovers, 3 interceptions and that 1 fumble. And these are things that he's been focusing on. But as you mentioned, this is a tough Rams defense to come back.
Let me just say, maybe Amani can weigh in on this. But in a game like this, I have no problems with the turnovers because you got to take chances, right? And even in a blowout, and this is the one thing I hate about quarterbacks in the QBR, some of these QBs will protect their QBR by not being aggressive and trying to climb back in or trying to get things done. So I didn't have a problem with it because against a defense like this, you got to take chances.
And when I talked to Phil Simms about quarterbacking, and he says, you know what, if you throw 2 little interceptions, it means you're not taking enough chances. It means you're not trying to fit the ball into the small holes that are out there. And he also said the difference between a great quarterback and an average quarterback are 5 throws a game. So unless you're practicing making those throws, throwing that out there, sometimes you lose, but that doesn't mean that you learn from every mistake, and ultimately you're gonna be a much better quarterback in the future.
Absolutely. You got to kind of take a leap of faith. Sometimes you fall, sometimes you fly.
Yep.
That's how it goes. All right, we got a lot more coming up on the show as Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, the official luxury automobile of the New York Football Giants, continues after this.
At Yield Street, investment opportunities that have traditionally been reserved for only the ultra-wealthy are now available to you. With a single investment, the Yield Street Prism Fund gives you access to a portfolio of alternative asset classes with expected 8% distributions paid quarterly. The Yield Street Prism Fund can help you realize your financial goals. Start as low as $1K and take your portfolio to the next level.
When you're hungry, you're not going to let 5,000 feet of mountain get in your way. And if it tries, that's what our lineup of exceptionally capable all-wheel drive SUVs is for. After all, we take this pretty seriously. The SUVs and the dinner.
On this field, they know me by my name and my number. I put in the work, and yeah, I'm proud of my accomplishments. I retired from the game, but not from wanting to achieve more. I'm on my business journey now, and my banking partner is Investors Bank. They give me the tools and the resources to reach my business goals. For what I do now and what I'll do next, I count on Investors Bank.
Enter the amazing universe of 'Twas the Night Before by Cirque du Soleil. An acrobatic retelling of a classic tale. A forever-lasting experience for your kids and the kid in you. 'Twas the Night Before by Cirque du Soleil. Playing exclusively at the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden December 9th through December 27th. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com.
And here we go. The season is underway. What a moment! Here comes Madelyn.
Welcome back to Giants Postgame.
Really did a great job getting pressure on.
Here's head coach Joe Judge.
Our guys are going to fight straight on through. Made some big-time throws.
We're going to hear from the guy who threw that touchdown.
I'm looking forward to next week and the next challenge.
We've got a lot more coming up on the program. The Giants are back at MetLife Stadium next Sunday when they host the Carolina Panthers. Sunday, October 24th with a 1 p.m. kickoff. Carolina Panthers come into town. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz. Guys, earlier in the show, we heard head coach Joe Judge say the big picture is the little picture. We got to focus on the team coming in next week. They got to shift their focus to the Carolina Panthers now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the next opponent. Aside from the opponent that's within their room, cleaning up their stuff. And I know everybody hates to say, or hates to hear the word clean up, but that's exactly what it is. Like, you go through film and you say, Amani, clean up this break, right? Or this was good, but at the stem, you were a little sloppy.
Yeah.
So those are the little things that will enable you. Like Shepard said, he can't have that my bad play on an in cut, right?
Exactly.
Right.
What they're going to say, you got to clean up your footwork on that. You just came out and you stumbled out of your break, and that's why you fell. So those are things they got to do, but the immediate task at hand is Carolina.
It's a tall task. Carolina Panthers will be without their star running back, Christian McCaffrey, but Chuba Hubbard has been no slouch. You know, he's coming in, filling in. Sam Darnold has shown he can be a dual threat running quarterback, as he showed earlier this season as well. But again, it's not really as much about the opponent as it is about really any given Sunday. That's why they play the games, right?
Absolutely. You can't beat yourself. I mean, a lot of the game today was the Giants beating themselves with the interceptions, the fumbles, the turnovers. And you're not going to beat too many teams at home or on the road if you don't take care of those little things. And assignment sound, you have to be assignment sound. You know, the old saying is there's more games lost in the NFL than won.
Yes.
This isn't a game that the Giants gave away to the Rams. Even though the Rams are a top-flight team, they could have played it much bit closer to the vest if they would have played clean football. And that's kind of what Judge is talking about. If they can be a tough team to beat as opposed to beating themselves.
Yes. And there's always, this is what Bill Parcells says, there's always a path to victory, no matter who you're playing, if you're willing to do the things necessary. Like you said, be a tough team to beat, because those guys start to feel the pressure and make mistakes.
Exactly.
That'd be a tough team to beat. But hey, we got to have a couple fun facts, right? One of the fun facts, Xavier McKinney had a couple interceptions. Giants have had a takeaway, at least one takeaway, in every game this season. Despite the 1-5 record, this is a strong point.
See, that's the thing you hang your hat on. No, really, because that
build off of that.
That's habit forming. That's habit forming. When you start to expect, and they become second nature. We do want them to catch the ones that could end games for them or change games for them. But, like, having a turnover in every game, it becomes habit forming.
Also, there's more turnovers out there. There was a couple interceptions dropped today.
Interceptions.
By Bradbury, and I think it was McKinney as well. So there's opportunity for this team to be even a tougher out if they can just execute a little bit better. Don't worry about who they're playing. Just do what they do better than they have been.
Do what they do their job, do their role. And as former head coach Tom Coughlin said at halftime, as the Giants were celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the 2011 Super Bowl team, they just got to stick together through those tough stretches, got to stick together as a team, and who knows what kind of success they could have. All right, that's a wrap for us here on Giants Post Game Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz. Thanks for hanging out with us every week. We're here for two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks, for Super Bowl champion Amani Toomer. I'm Madelyn Burke. We'll leave you with a recap of the halftime festivities.